Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Long Island's largest rock salt source, and when spring comes, largest mulch source. But in the meantime, as we wait for winter to get underway, because it really hasn't, they still got plenty of snow and ice melt products, and of course, snow blowers, shovels, and whatever else you need in order to make sure you get through this winter. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. The website is omnitruevalue.com. We're going to start with the Western Satellite Loop, as we've been doing that for the last few days, mainly to highlight the fact that we continue to have storm after storm after storm coming in. The current one is now on the coast. Right behind it, we have another weather system that'll come in and early next week, and yet another weather system that is forming out in the Central Pacific and moving from west to east. It's been this endless parade for a few weeks now of storm after storm in the west. Meanwhile, as we look at what's going on in the east, it's fairly quiet. We have a new little low that is forming in the Central Plains, and that's producing some clouds through Missouri and Arkansas and across Tennessee and into North Carolina. Much of the area from Maryland, Delaware, southward to Florida and across the lower Gulf states actually enjoying a pretty nice Saturday. That's about to change in time. And of course, we've got clouds out to the west that extend from Pennsylvania and western New York all across the Great Lakes and back up into the northern plains. And then you see the west coast storm that has moved inland. More heavy precipitation, although this one is not quite as robust as some of the past storms that have come in the last 2 weeks, but still it's only adding more rainfall to California from north to south. And we also have a little bit of activity developing across southern Tennessee and into southwestern North Carolina. And in the northeast, just a little bit of stuff aloft coming off the Great Lakes. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet up through New England. Rainfall over the next 7 days is going to be this takes us, by the way, to next Saturday night. So we do have a weather system at the end of the new week coming up that's going to produce a fair amount of rainfall, anywhere from an inch and a half to as much as 2 to 2.5 inches of rain in southern New England, an inch and a half plus up into parts of southwestern Maine and into New Hampshire, and then right down along the eastern seaboard through Virginia and North Carolina. Also seeing some rain across the Gulf states in the next 7 days on the order of a half an inch to maybe as much as an inch and a half. And the endless 10-inch plus rainfall amounts being shown out in the west, except in the Sierra Nevadas, where we are going to see more snow. Many areas there have gotten as much as 8 feet of snow so far and counting. And as far as snow probability across the United States, it's mostly in the west where we have this is the probability of at least 2 inches. The red areas are 90 to 100%. The blue areas are 50% or higher. And as we look into the east, except for northern Maine, which is in an area of 10 to 20% chance of at least 2 inches, it's nothing. And in fact, as we look at the next the long range here, starting with Wednesday, it's in the west. It's in the west as we move from that was Tuesday into Wednesday. This is Wednesday into Thursday, Thursday into Friday. A little bit of a 10 to 30% chance of at least a few inches up in the northern lakes. And Friday into Saturday on the long range from WPC, for the first time in quite a while, we have a 10 to 30% chance of at least a couple of inches running from eastern West Virginia. And then the area expands as you go northward through central PA and much of upstate New York and much of interior New England, showing an area of 10 to 30% for at least 3. But it's the only way I think you could describe what the pattern that we're in, folks, and this is for except for the West, it's covers a large portion of the country. There is just an absolute lack of cold air anywhere. So, and that's really not going to change much in the next 10 days. We do have minimal cold air that is into the eastern part of the United States. And as this low comes out on Sunday, it pushes a weak area of moisture into the mid-Atlantic states. I really don't expect to see much of anything out of this. Maybe some areas in Pennsylvania and northwest New Jersey Sunday night into Monday morning. Uh, uh, Again, emphasizing elevated areas. Somebody winds up with a coating to maybe an inch, and that would be it. Everybody else is either going to be some wet snow mixed in with plain rain, and then that low just moves away. We'll see improving late weather conditions probably Monday afternoon. Then on Tuesday, it looks dry. We've got a low coming down from the north on Wednesday with a cold front, and that low just sort of goes from Michigan to Buffalo and then just redevelops off the East Coast. Again, a weak system here, maybe a little snow in upstate New York and New England, also not amounting to much. Then colder air comes in for Thursday and Friday. It's not a lot of cold air, but it's a slightly stronger shot of cold air. Certainly, I think enough to bring temperatures down to seasonal levels Thursday and maybe on Friday, where many areas might be struggling to get out of the 30s. And then we have a stronger low that's coming out of the plains. It runs into the Ohio Valley. That high is going to try to hold. There could actually be some frozen precipitation or even freezing precipitation in the central Appalachians developing on Friday into southwestern Virginia, western PA, with the primary low in Indiana. Then it just sort of disappears and redevelops along the coast, and warm air sweeps northward up the coast. So we get into a soaking rain Friday night into Saturday. And that rain area, by the way, pushes all the way up into upstate New York and into New England, finally pulling out probably sometime later next Saturday night or on Sunday. And there's no real cold air behind that one. So let's just say that the non-winter winter continues until further notice. Weather in 5, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So we'll leave you with the U.S. Satellite Loop and remind you that the Joe and Joe Weather Show is back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on my YouTube channel. We hope to see you then.